What's up, guys? Today we're going to begin Unit 9, where we are going to switch gears from the categorical variables and look at quantitative. So last unit we put things on bar charts and pie charts to represent the counts of frequencies of categorical variables. This time we're going to look at numerical ones, quantitative ones. So if you think about a variable like height, which is what we're going to kind of get into, right? Height would be a quantitative variable because that's numerical and you can measure that. So this is a type of summary statistic, which a summary statistic is just a number that summarizes and provides information about a sample drawn from a population. So it tells you something about values, data values. So we're going to start with this claim that among high school seniors in the United States, boys are taller than girls. So if you're in class, I'd have you discuss with your table, and then we'd have kind of a discussion about it. And then I filled out this, or I had y'all do this survey a few weeks ago about to answer what your height was in inches. And so what you need to do if you're watching this video for the first time is go onto Canvas. I'll see if I can switch my screen. Go on to Canvas. You'll see this calendar. I don't have that Canvas page up yet, but you're going to click right here where it says heights in inches, and you're going to make a copy of this page, and it should bring you up to this. Okay, so that's where we're going to go. And as you're going through, as you have that page pulled up, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead and change the thing at the bottom. So let me show y'all real quick. Go ahead and change the title at the bottom. So this title right here, we're going to click on this, and we're going to change this to heights, like that. Okay, from here, I want you guys to kind of just review the data, and it's broken down. You can see what boys' heights and girls' heights are. And based on the data, I would have you talk with your groups and determine if you can answer this claim. Like, what do you agree or disagree with the claim that boys are taller than girls, and why? Not just, but this is like real data. So why would you say boys are taller, or why would you say that that's not true? So those are kind of some things I want you to kind of consider. And then, is there a single number we can assign to say this number is going to represent boys' heights and this number is going to represent girls' heights? And maybe we can compare those two and say, this is why we say boys is taller. This is why we say boys are taller, or this is why we say boys are not. So you can answer something with confidence. And you can use your calculator if needed. I would give you 5 minutes in class. So we can use what's called summary statistics. We just talked about what that is, to summarize the data and conclude that it would appear typically high school boys are taller than high school girls. A type of summary statistic that we're going to talk about today is called a measure of center, which is a statistical value that represents a, quote, typical value of a data set that summarizes the data point by identifying its central point or location. You can think about it this way. If measure of center, that is a location, it's a single number that tells you where your data is centered or where a trend will typically lie. There's two measures of centers. You have heard both of these before. You have mean, which is our typical average, and then you have median, which is the middle of our data. These are both common measures of center. And if you go to college and you're in a statistics class, you may see one of these formulas for it. We know how to find the average of most things, adding them up and dividing by how many things you added up. But these are just some different ways it can look. So we're going to go back to that heights example in a second, but I want to show y'all real quick. This is a side note of this mean versus median thing. So the mean is the sum of all the data values divided by how many numbers you have in the data set. So if I had a data set like this, notice when we look at this, like they're all kind of clustered around each other, with the exception of maybe one thing, right? And that if I added these all up and I divided by 11, I get 4.36. And I would look at this mean and say that's not probably a very good representation, because when we look at that number 23, that doesn't seem like it fits with that group. Like most of those numbers are in there are between 0 and 5. And you have this number 23 that's just out there. So what that's going to do when I put that in my average is it's going to bring my average up, right? And so if I'm thinking about this as real data and I use average of real data, like heights, for instance, and you have, like, you took all the heights of everybody in school, and then and then there was one kid in here that was 7 feet 1 inches, or maybe one kid in here that was 3 feet tall. Like, that is going to drop or bring your average up depending on which one we're dealing with, which is not necessarily a good representation of the average in most cases. So more than half the numbers in this data set are less than 4. So I would say I would expect a good measure of center to be less than 4, but the measure of center is just a little more than 4. So anyways, another type that we can look at when a data set has a value that's outside a distribution, like a really high or low number, like 23 in this case, we can look at another unit of measurement, which is the median that we talked about a second ago. To summarize, we can list the data from least to greatest and look at the middle value. And this is where 50% of our data set is above this data value and 50% is below. 50% is below this data value. This is the halfway point, so to speak. So this is called the median and is used quite often in statistics and is a great measure of center because it ignores extremely high and low data values, which could skew a typical average. So the median is the middle value. When we sort everything, it ignores extremely large values, like I said. And the way you do this by hand, we're going to do this in spreadsheets, but the way we do this by hand is we put them all together. So if I were to have you do this with the heights, for instance, there are, I think, 60, how many data entries are there? I think there's like, I don't know, there's quite a few. Gosh, I want to say, what is that? What does that say? Oh, like there's 122 data values for this example. So that would be a lot to go through and sort. And this is why I kind of want to promote the spreadsheets so we can make our life a little easier, especially when we're dealing with data sets that have a large amount of data in them. Okay, so let's go through this. So the first thing I would do if I was doing this by hand, which is manageable, we would arrange them in order like so. And then I would just look at the middle and I would kind of count in. So I would count that 0 and 23 as my outside, and I would go from the outside to the end. If you have an even number of data values, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here I have 11, so the middle one is 3. If I had an even set, I would just take the two middle ones and find the average of those. That's how I'd find the median. So we are going to we're going to go to our heights example. And this whole thing was that I just talked about was to kind of talk about the difference between the mean and the median in terms of data set, because they're both measures of center. And depending on what you're looking at, one of them may be better than the other. And I failed to mention this, but 3 is would probably be a better measure of center here because that seems to represent the majority of these data values, like a good number to represent like a better average, so to speak, because that's in the middle of them, right? And I don't care about that 23 because I'm looking at the middle of the data. Since our height survey was in Google Sheets, we're going to talk about how to calculate measures of center using Google Sheets. And so we're going to start by going onto our Google Sheet and choosing either boys or girls, not both. And we're going to sort these. So we're going to talk about how to sort them. I'm going to sort them and show you all how to do this. And then we're going to pull them from the list where they're mixed together and make a column with just boys or girls. And we're going to start by clicking and dragging from cell A1 to B1. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to start by going up here and clicking and dragging from cell A1 to B1. So I already have this kind of formatted a little bit with the different headers on there. I'm going to highlight those first two. And what I want to do is I want to go here up to view, and we've done this before, freeze, and I want to freeze this top row. And the reason why I want to do that is because when I sort these, I don't want my headers to get sorted and move as well. Okay. So now I can highlight this entire column. So I'm going to go up here to column A. And I don't want to sort by column B. I want to sort by A because I want to basically break up the boys and the girls. And so I can easily just look at them separately. So I'm going to go up here, highlight, click on the top of column A. We're going to go to, where is it? Data, sort sheet. We're going to sort sheet from A to B. And now if you notice on my sheet, I have all the boys at the beginning, all the way down here, and then you see the girls. So whatever you choose to do, that's fine. You're going to pick one of these. Switch my monitor. So we're going to pick one of these. This is what I just talked about. Click on column A. Then in the menu bar, go to Data, Sort Sheet by column A to Z. And you should now see the data list with boys first, then girls. And we're going to choose either heights for all boys or all girls, not both, by clicking and dragging from the first height to the last height. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. Then we're going to right click and hit copy, or click on edit in the menu bar and hit copy. And then we're going to paste this somewhere else on our sheet. So I have specific locations, but we can click on cell D2 and hit Control V, or click edit in the menu bar. And then in cell D1, we're going to write boys heights in inches if you choose boys, or girls heights in inches if we choose girls. And then we're going to format this, giving it a fill color, making it bold centered, add a border, auto align the columns, so on and so forth. Let me make sure I don't have anything else. I'll go back to that screen. Okay, let me go back to this screen. Okay, so I have this screen. I'm going to switch my monitor to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to do precisely that. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to choose boys, and let's see, right click at the copy. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight. I'm going to highlight all the boys that I have. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to go all the way to here, and then hit what does it say? Right click, and we're going to hit copy. So I'm at the first step, or I can go to edit up here at the top and hit copy. Either one's fine. And then I'm going to click on cell D2. So cell D2 would be right here, and I'm going to hit Control V, or I can go up to the top and hit edit, paste. And actually, I did this wrong. I want the heights to go with them. So let me undo that real quick. Did I say that in the directions? I don't know if I did or not. I want to select the heights with them. So I'm going to right click, copy, go over to cell D2, hit paste. Okay, so now from here, I have my data entered in there, and I only have boys. And if you chose girls, you would go down here and do the same thing, like by clicking and dragging all the way till you get to the bottom. Click on cell D2. Okay, I did that. In cell D1, we're going to write boys' heights in inches if you chose boys, or girls' heights in inches if you chose girls. So I'm going to go up here to the top. Oops. I'm going to go up here to the top of my sheet, and I'm going to type in boys. Oh, not that cell. Okay, I'm going to do boys. Okay, I'm going to retrace what I did. I don't think my directions said that. I'm going to copy all of this real quick because I don't care about the actual word boys. So I was copying the wrong thing. Sorry. I'm going to copy this, and I'm actually going to cut this. So if you're watching this video, I apologize. I don't care about having the boys. I should have just copied the heights over here. Up here in cell D1, I'm going to type in boys heights in inches. And now I'm going to format this. So I'm going to pause my video for a second so I can do that. Okay, so from here, this is not necessary, but it might be worth doing. I'm going to go ahead and sort this data now, and since my top row is frozen, it's not going to do anything with this. So I'm going to sort. I'm going to hit column D, and I'm going to do what I did whenever I sorted boys and girls. go up to data, sort sheet. We can do A to Z, or we can do Z to A. This goes in order, so I can easily see like who the tallest and who the shortest person is and where everybody is kind of in between. And yeah, this is kind of how my data looks like. Now let's see what's next. All right, go down to your last data entry in column D, and we're gonna actually. I don't want to put this right here. I mean, you can if you want. I'm gonna put mine. I'm gonna put mine right next to this instead of down there. So this is just a location. I think I wanted it at the bottom. I don't think I really care where it goes, but just so it's kind of neat. And we've talked about how to find the average before, which is what the mean is. We're going to format this cell the same as we've done, and I'm going to calculate the average. And I'm going to use the decrease button. I'm going to make this cell bold, and yeah, so just kind of format it, make it look nice. So we want to calculate the mean. So I'm going to go through, and the mean is just the average. So I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to give myself a little bit of space. Like maybe I'll write mean right here and median right here. So I'm going to do something like this, kind of give myself space between those. I'm going to format these to be the same. So I can click, if I want them to be the same, I want that to be all caps what the other one is. Okay, and then I can control click. I'm going to make both of those bold. Did I make that bold? Yeah, okay. I'm going to change the background color to red again, my font to white. I'm going to auto align those and add borders. Okay, so here I'm also going to put borders around these because these are kind of my calculations. It might make them stand out a little more and pop, and I think I'll probably make those bigger as well in terms of font. And so, by the way, if you're making a spreadsheet, you don't need any data in there to make your formula. Like I can make a formula for mean without having this data in here, but I am going to use this here. So remember, to write the mean, that's just the average. So I'm going to do equals, and I'm going to start typing the word average. Let me see, average in parentheses. And once those parentheses come up, I want to select the range of cells that I want to find the average for. I'm going to click all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to hit enter. Then I go up to the top, and I get an average of that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this at 1 decimal place. So we'll do that, 1 decimal place. Let's center this. Okay, and then the other one, we have a formula just called median. So I'm going to do median. Type in the word median with parentheses and select the range that I want for the median. Hit enter, and we go up and we get this. So I'm going to center this. And so now I have my mean and my median. And they're very close. I mean, these are both kind of like both good units of measurement. Let's see. Okay, so let me go back to this real quick and see what else we're doing. So that's what we're doing for that, calculating the mean and the median. You'll have to do that for your project for this unit. To find the mean and median, blah, blah, blah. We'll just type, okay. So here's our kind of commands for that, equal median. And then what you put in the parentheses is just your data range. So if you did boys, we should have got that, like I just did. If you did girls, we should have got 64.4 and 64. So both very close. So it turns out, looking at both of these measures of center, we do have some statistical evidence that yes, boys are taller, and we can say, with certainty, a typical circumstance, boys are going to be taller. So So in your notes, we're going to write the mean and median for both boys and girls and both. I did both, so this would be something you fill in for your notes just for your reference. There's a little chart on the bottom, so put the mean, median values for each one of these, and then I did them for both boys and girls together. So we can see 67.3 and 67. Okay, lastly, I want to set this up to I want to set up this Google Sheet for you to use this unit. So we're going to start by clicking at the bottom of the page where it says the form responses, I guess. And we're going to change the name to Heights. I think we already did that. And then we're going to click the plus button on the right next to it, double click, and type practice. This is where we're going to be so we can do delta math and stuff like that. And then in column A, we're going to enter data from practice problems and delta math, so you don't need to type anything in column A yet. And so in C1, we're going to write mean, and C2, we're going to write the formula, and then we're going to do the same thing for median. So this is just kind of some information. That's essentially what I'm doing. Okay, so we'll come back to this here in a second. So if I switch over to my spreadsheet, what I mean by doing that is I'm going to go down here. I've already changed that to Heights. I'm going to click this plus button, and I'm going to change this to practice. And then I'm going to use this column right here to enter in data values. So somewhere over here, I'm going to type in my mean and median. I don't really care if these are formatted or not. This is just for practice. Okay, so we're going to type in to where we can use all of column A no matter what. I can go all the way down to cell 999. So I'm going to find the average of anything that I would potentially put in there by typing in average, and then we can just click on the A at the very top of the column, and it says A to A, and then we can hit enter. And right now it gives us this little error because we don't have any data in there, but we will here in a second. And then we're going to do the same thing for this one. Equal median, and select column A. Okay, so now let's go back to this problem, and we're going to use this in practice to make sure that we have this done correctly. So the data value belows are represent the leaves on 8 tomato plants 45 days after being planted. So we're just going to type these into column A, and we're going to find the mean and median and make sure that they work correctly. So I'm going to type mine in over here, and 1 1 2 4 5 5 7 8. So 1 1 2 4 5 5 7 8. 1 1 2 4 5, oops, did that wrong. 2 4 5 5 7 8. And now if we oh, y'all didn't even see that. Hold on, I had the wrong screen. 1 1 2 4. So if I zero all these out, let me do that one more time. Notice how our average is changing with everything that we type in. 1 1 2 4 5 5 7 8. And it automatically calculates, and we can get those done fairly quickly. So going back to this, my mean and my median should be what I just calculated. And now we have that math done. So although it's possible to calculate both measures of center for any set of quantitative observations, sometimes one is more meaningful than the other two. So if you consider this, the average home price in Trophy Club, Texas in 2022, I looked this up like on Google and had that thing come up, and it said the average home price was $699,000. So below are some random samples that I just chose from Trophy Club that were listed for sale at the time I did this. And so I want to figure out what the mean and median for this would be. So I'm not going to use K there. I'm going to actually type zeros, and this is 1.6 million. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to type these into my spreadsheet and look at my mean and my median values to try to see which measure of center would be better to use, or are they close to the same like our Heights example was. So I'm going to go back over here real quick, and I'm going to type in I'm going to type over this 649000. So that's my first one. 650000. 675000. 690,000, 715,000, 729,000, 750,000, 763,000, and then 160,000. Okay. So looking at what I came up with, we should get a mean of about 802,000 and a median of 715,000. So in this case, that's quite a bit, almost 100,000 difference here between the home's price. And hopefully we can see that like most of these are kind of grouped together and follow a typical trend pattern here. But then we had this 1.6 million, and see what that does when we put that in the mean. Right, that brings the average up. This mean is higher than these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different data values out of this 9 set. Now, these are not the only homes for sale, right, and Trophy Club. These are just samples. So if I pick these, I should have a representation that represents that by my summary statistic, by my center that would go along with these. And yes, I can have things outside of those ranges for sure, but the majority of them should be somewhere in this ballpark, right? And 802,000 isn't even in one of these. And I chose 9 different things, and 8 of them are less than the mean. But the median, however, is kind of in the middle of the majority of those things. So in this case, median, like if we're finding the mean and median of something, the median would be the measure of center that we would want to use for this particular example. So as we go through and we start talking about quantitative variables, we need to consider the center and what is better. And sometimes both of them are okay. And we'll talk about that today real quick. So consider this example. In a small town, the average household income is less than 150,000. There's one multi-billionaire that lives in this town. So which measure of center would be better fit for this sample? If we actually collected samples of, I don't know, 50 or 100 different people there, we're going to have people that make more and less than 150,000, but it should be in a general trend area. But then this one billionaire, if he's included in that, he's going to jack up our average quite a bit, and then we wouldn't say that the household income is less than 150,000 because that billionaire is going to make it to where you would say that the average income for this small town is like in the millions, and that's simply not true. This one guy's uh, ballpark 100 million, give or take. That would what would the mean would be, and the median. We would need more information, but it would be a lot closer to a typical income in a small town. Here's an example too. On a normal test day, one student is sleeping the entire test and then turns in their test completely blank and gets a 0. I'm going to expect somewhere between 70s and 100s for most of my grades on a test. And in most cases, it's higher than B's. So that 1 0 is going to throw off my average. But if I did my median, that would probably give me a better measure of center. The mean is most commonly used type of average for things that can be added together. So it's often used in research, academics, and sports. The main disadvantage when we use mean to describe a group of numbers is that extremely small and large values can skew results, as we just saw. And these extreme large and small values are called outliers. So this would be an example. So if we look at this data set right here, an outlier is a data point that lies outside the overall pattern in a distribution. And hopefully we can look at it and say which number does not belong, and that would be that 54. That would be considered an outlier. We're going to talk about how to calculate those later. The mean in the real world, the average number of miles your car gets per gallon of gas. This allows you to estimate how much gas you'll need for a trip or help you determine the cost of driving. We would probably use mean for that over median. Batting average is used, we use the mean, like the actual average that we have. And your final grade, right? That would be considered the mean in the real world. All of these examples have to do with some type of performance that is evaluated with a single number called a summary statistics. So to summarize, the mean allows very high or low numbers to sway the outcome, but the median is an excellent measure of center of a group of data because it ignores outliers. The mean is also an excellent measure of center when there aren't any outliers. The everyday word average usually refers to the mean, but since today we learned that sometimes it is useful or used for other measures of center, it's safer and more precise to use the terms mean and median rather than average. Um, Here's some kind of examples how you would say that. Instead of the average miles you put on your car in a week, the mean miles on your car in a week, the median income for residents and trophy club, the median home prices in a specific area, the mean salary of individuals in a certain field. And that is what we have wraps up our day. Do make sure that as you're going through these, you might not want to work ahead because some of them are true false only, and I can't reset those.